This is an original short story. I wrote this myself, so I would absolutely love any feedback that people have. Not that anybody's going to be watching this, but yeah, I would love feedback. So, this is my story. It's called The Cleaner. The cleaner was a man like any other, though he was not always a cleaner. There was a time when he was simply that. A man. A man down on his luck, about to be removed from his shitty apartment for failure to pay his rent. A man who could not find a job for the life of him. A man living on government benefits. Events, however, have a way of helping out a man like the cleaner out of the drain, and into a more prosperous position, if you could call it that. Events which I shall detail to you here, now. It so happened that one warm spring day, the cleaner checked one of the small cupboards in his apartment that he used to store his supply of food for the month. In it, he expected to find something, perhaps a packet of noodles or some instant meals. Instead, he swung open the cupboard door to reveal a cobweb, with a small spider situated in the centre. He sighed and checked his wallet. He had just enough to afford a few instant food pots, but nothing more. Unfortunately, this would use up all of the money he was saving for other purposes. It also happened, as fate would have it, that the cleaner ran into someone from his past while he was shopping for food. As he perused the instant food, he bumped shoulders with a man whom he recognized. The man had short brown hair and a prominent, bushy beard that definitely did not complement the hair. It was too unkempt next to the smoothly combed top. The man was dressed formally, which was odd, considering the location of their meeting. He simply carried with him a roll of bin bags. The cleaner recognized him as an old friend from college. Their interaction was brief, but here I shall recall it to you. "Hey, I remember you. How have you been?" asked the cleaner. "Whoa, I almost didn't recognize you. You look so different. And, yeah, I've been doing well for myself. And you?" replied the man. "I've not been doing well. I'm out of food and money, and I'm going to be evicted soon. I'm in desperate need of a job. I don't suppose you'd know anyone?" "As a matter of fact, I might have something for you. I'm going to need a cleaner. Big celebration tonight. Come by tomorrow, clean the place, and I'll pay you. I'll message you the details." They exchanged numbers, and the man walked away. The following day, the cleaner arrived at the address that had been provided. He entered a large house. He had only been given access to the living room, kitchen, and garden for cleaning purposes, and had been told that if he were to enter any other area of the building, payment would not be made, and there would be no future dealings. Upon entering the living room, he found a mess that indeed looked as though a large celebration had taken place the night before. There were banners, spilled drinks, crumbs scattered all over the floor, pillows strewn across the room, and more. In the corner of a room was a pile of cleaning equipment. It took the cleaner 2 hours in total to clean the house. There was nothing particularly difficult about the job, no nooks or crannies or impossible spots. There was, however, one peculiarity: the payment. Not even a minute after the job was complete, a gloved hand slipped a brown envelope through the letterbox. It was simply addressed to the cleaner. He carefully opened it and found it contained a letter and some money. The letter was short, simply reading, "Can we trust you to keep a secret?" But that was not the strangest part. No, indeed, the strangest part was that it was no little sum of money. Within the envelope was a sum of no less than £1,000. £1,000 for 2 hours of simple cleaning. The cleaner returned home and thought about the letter. What secret was he being trusted to keep? Whatever it was, he had no issue keeping it so long as the money kept flowing like that. This was just what he needed. He could finally pay his rent and afford some nice food for himself. It was for this reason that the cleaner was rather happy to receive a second message from the man a week later. This time, however, it was different. The address had changed, and this time he was taken to a derelict apartment building. He was instructed not to set out until it was dark, and to cover his face and wear gloves. He was told not to touch any handles ungloved. Despite these strange requests, the cleaner decided whatever lay on the other side of the door was worth cleaning for the money he would get. He opened the door with his breath held. There was a man on the floor. He was laying in a pool of blood. Next to him was a Western-style revolver. On the man's body, a bullet hole. The cleaner stopped for a moment. He thought about what he was about to do. But the longer he pondered, the more he realized he simply didn't care. Once again, in the corner of the room there was a bundle of supplies. This time, however, there were some additions. Extra bin bags and a saw. The cleaner sighed and got to work. 3 hours later he was done. Another envelope came through the door. This time there was contained a sum of £5,000 in cash, with a letter simply reading, "We are always watching." But the cleaner had no intention of ratting the man out. He needed the money and had no problem cleaning anything that came his way. He had seen too much in his life to care. I told you earlier that events have a way of putting people like the cleaner into a more prosperous position. What I failed to tell you was that events also have a tendency to take that position away. The cleaner heard nothing for the next 4.5 weeks. He spent his time purchasing trinkets and delicacies that just a month ago he would never have dared to dream of owning. It was after all this time that he finally got another message. It read the same as last time, but this time there was a note at the end. Be fast. The cleaner arrived at the location. It was another body. The only issue? This one was messier. I won't go into detail, but just know that. How was he to be fast when he had an even bigger job before him? Nonetheless, he picked up the equipment and got to work. You might be wondering how this could lead to events changing the cleaner's fortune for the worse. He tried his best. He tried to be swift, but remain thorough. But he was not quick enough. Midway through the cleaning, he heard sirens, and flashes of blue and red light came in through the windows. He was not quick enough. The cleaner was found at the scene of a murder site, dismembering and attempting to hide a corpse. It is for this reason that he was arrested on the spot and detained in a maximum security cell. He remained here until the day of his planned interrogation. The cleaner planned to tell the authorities everything he knew so that he could minimize his sentence and hopefully be out sooner rather than later. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 hours before the interrogation was set to take place, an armoured guard entered his cell. The guard stood still and stared at the cleaner for a moment, before slowly reaching to take his mask off. Before him stood a man with short, combed brown hair and a beard that was too unkempt to go with it. The cleaner struggled and pleaded for his life, but the man did not listen. In just a few days, the cleaner went from having everything to nothing. The end.